So Chris, Aaron, and Chrissy, this is like a beta test to see how this would go to record this and talk through this and experience it. I've thought through it. I haven't made a script like I would, but I thought I would try to see what a general outline would be, and then we can even see if this is something we want to pursue. Hello, Presbytery of Donegal. Michael Wilson, Stated Clerk, Facilitator for Developing Leaders, and your Board of Pension representative. I'm coming to talk with you a little bit about the details for the 2018 budget. Before I do that, let me say thank you to you as a presbytery for your generous and ongoing support of the mission and ministry of the presbytery. I and the rest of the staff and leaders are deeply grateful for all that you do and the way that you support the ministry of this presbytery as a whole. Also, just as I'm sure you've been told, I am, as you're hearing this, on my way to Amsterdam to do PhD work. I'm grateful for your support of that. A number of you have asked for a little update. I'm about 75% done the coursework, have submitted a couple of rough drafts of chapters, and gotten them back from my supervisor, who said, "Good job, please see my smiling face as you read this, and here's a lot of work to do." So I'm in the midst of that and grateful for your personal support of that as well. I'm the one giving this because in our business administrator position transition, we worked as a whole developing this, and the administration committee did detailed and, in my opinion, really good work on this. And I ended up doing a lot of the details and thus know the formulas and seem to be in a position to give this report to you. Let me start by reminding you that this is the first year that we are presenting you from the very beginning with a combined mission and shared proportional per capita budget. Last year you voted to do this and we worked on it. So we've given you a lot of information here. You'll see that there's actuals from 2015 and 2016, as well as the 2016 budget and what you've approved for this year's budget and a proposed budget for next year. And I want to walk you through that. We've had to do some aggregation to draw this together. It's the first time that all this information would have been together, and we're really delighted to present a comprehensive picture of the generosity and the work of this presbytery financially all in one place. Let me start just with a shared proportional bottom line, which is a reduction of 75 cents in the shared proportional per capita apportionment for 2018. That represents a 98-cent reduction in the presbytery portion and a 23-cent increase in the General Assembly portion of that. The Synod portion stays the same. Really glad to be able to bring you that news and to show you how we came to that and what that means in terms of our budgeting. We will start at the top, and I will have you look at the you'll see the share proportional assessment right here, which I've highlighted, is $351,325.76. We have calculated that under our new membership numbers and at a 97% collection rate, our first time to account for that, going back historically and looking at what percentage of per capita we have generally collected. You'll see numbers for Synod and General Assembly. We did not bring them down towards any collection rate because of their pass-through, and what we collect is what we sent on. We increased our anticipated mission giving to the presbytery by 1%, going from a historical collection from 2016 actual of $250,000, and recognizing that that seems to be where the giving is trending. We moved this year from percentages in terms of people's mission pledges to straight pledges to Synod and General Assembly undesignated, knowing that we can better than translate and communicate what we're able to pass on to those mission projects in 2018, and grateful for the ability to be able to communicate that accurately. We raised the designated portion that goes to General Assembly, hearing from more congregations of their intentions to do that, particularly around mission personnel giving, as we've been asked to make sure that we are funding those. That number also includes the number for that we receive in terms of designated giving and the special offerings. And so we want to continue to anticipate your generosity in those areas. You can move down through the other income. Much of that has gone away as we have been able to move our funding into more reliable ongoing sources of income. We would have you note that our dismissal settlements from Peckway and Little Britain and New London will be present in 2018 and also in 2019. That's the income side. It comes to just over $1.1 million of resources, financial resources for this presbytery to use for its ministry and mission on a local, national, and international level. The per capita apportionment to Synod and General Assembly, again, that's a pass-through, the same as the income, and then the pledge to Synod mission and GA undesignated and General Assembly designated, all the same on the income side, and indicating that would be a pass-through. In terms of the presbytery's mission and ministry expenses, you will see that the EOM bubble bucket, it remains at $65,000, knowing that those priorities include the Reality Conference, the Intimate Partner Violence Network, hunger work that we do, and other programs that this presbytery continues to develop in congregational and corporate ministry and mission. We have included two ways that we anticipate moving forward in Camp Donegal. If Camp Donegal does remain open in 2018, then there'd be a $65,000 contribution to that ministry. If it closes, then we anticipate the administration anticipates around $50,000 in expenses to continue to maintain the camp, to keep someone there, to keep the grass cut, to maintain the buildings. That number, of course, is not known, but we know there will continue to be expenses as we move towards the closing and sale of the camp. And then we would put $5,000 towards scholarships for youth and other mission adventures, supporting camping ministry, and then $10,000 towards the growth of our participation in developing new worshiping communities in our presbytery. We continue to fund presbytery retreats and the Pastor's Emergency Fund, continue to our multicultural engagement, funding Resurrection Chapel, and increased support for La Iglesia Hispania de Tofkenamen, as some other funding for that congregation has gone away at the end of 2017, and increased support for the Bethany Collaboratory because financial support from the memorial sale ends at the end of 2017, and even with that congregation will have to cut some expenses as well. When we come down to the personnel of the presbytery, we reflect a 1% raise for our executive presbyter, a movement from 75% time to 85% time for the stated clerk, facilitator, development leaders, and a change in the base salary calculation to better account for that position. For our business administrator, administration has voted to eliminate that position, transfer for some of the responsibilities to other staff members, and bring the Board of Pensions responsibilities to the stated clerk, facilitator for developing leaders. And you'll see below in the budget some money for an accountant, either hired or outsourced. Administration is still working on that. It's a 5% raise for our executive administrative assistant to account for increased responsibilities, and also to bring her salary more in line with the responsibilities that she has. The one number in this budget we're still waiting on is the medical and disability insurance, because we have not received those numbers from the Board of Pensions. We calculated it at the same percentage of salary as 2017. Facility expenses are up slightly because rent has gone up historically about $50 a month. We received that notice in December. Other of these line items, administration went through and reduced or adjusted accordingly, particularly showing that we no longer do mailings at the same level, and so we are able to send back a piece of equipment to Pitney Bowes and not pay $1,000 a year. You'll see under professional expenses around $30,000 for bookkeeping. We've talked with the accountant about that and think that that's a reasonable number for next year, given the amount of time that we believe this kind of accounting will take. Other numbers have been adjusted accordingly in terms of expenses and gone through by the administrative committee, bringing us to total expenses of just over $1.1 million. It's actually about $199 to the good budget for 2018. At the conclusion of this meeting, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions to administration and your executive presbyter, and then we'll continue to work on this budget over the summer and bring it to you in September for a second read and for your adoption, so we can continue to communicate this. Again, thank you. We're excited to bring a combined budget that helps us to communicate the values of this presbytery, both in terms of how we support congregations and also how we engage in ministry and mission together and do things that we are better together than we do alone. God bless you as you continue to meet, and I look forward to seeing you again.